Hi, and welcome back to the episode of the History of Fan Anime. I'm your host, William Chow, and today's episode is another great visualization episode where I basically try to help paint the picture of what something was in the past. And in this particular episode, I'm going to cover my second video store. Okay, so this is sort of really unique because I've already shown you different pictures and video of my first store and different things that you should pay attention to and that kind of stuff. Again, you might want to check back some of the videos of my first store, Anime Jyanai, and you can see what some of the things we had in it. But eventually, I had to move on to my second store. And this episode, I'm going to hopefully, get information about that. And this is nice because a bunch of information came together, and different sources came together, and really helped, kind of make this point more cohesive. So again, this could be really kind of exciting to go over this thing. So before I begin, I want to remind everyone to go down, click like, and click subscribe. Again, that really helps me out with the YouTube algorithm, so that YouTube could then start promoting and actually suggesting that video on the sides. Again, if you particularly like this particular video and you like to do more than just supporting with a like, you can monetarily hit the super thanks down below, and that will definitely help out if you particularly like this episode, as well as if you like to support me in other financial ways. I do also have my PayPal and my Patreon account below, where you can be a subscriber, and I've got different episodes and things available for you as a subscriber. I'm right now just touching up some. I got these DVDs and clips of different Japanese TV programming, as well as more AMVs. I'm planning to right now tier them and put them into the next batch of episodes available to the subscribers. All right. So again, I'll update that in the next little bit to make sure that's available. Also, I'm also quickly approaching episode 250, where I'm going to be probably having another anime giveaway. Okay, and all the subscribers that are on those systems will also get first dibs on anything that I put on there. So again, if you haven't subscribed or you're thinking to that, might be a good time to kind of get on that. And again, links below. We also have links showing you what's already available on there. So there's a wide variety of different episodes and things on there that'll give you an idea of what you can expect to see as a subscriber. Okay, so definitely do check those out. Links are all down below. All right. So today's episode is about my second video store. Now again, my second video store, I didn't have a lot of pictures or video myself that I've taken. That I probably should have, but again, that's one of those things that when I was younger, I wish I kind of taken photography and thought of things to do differently when doing that. But I know that there are some. I know I had some different birthday parties and different get-togethers that we did at this second location, and I know that footage is out there on video cassette camcorder or something out there. So it's just a matter of getting in touch with some of those people and hopefully digging those pictures and that kind of stuff out of archives that we can use for to give you a better visualization. And then again, I'll do the same thing. I'll try to point out things that are in the videos and that kind of stuff that are shown, right? And then hopefully give you a better picture. But until then, this particular episode, I'll give you some more information and insight of what this store looks like. All right, and this was kind of nice because a bunch of information kind of came together to make this episode. So I mean, there's different sources of different things, and they just sort of made it appropriate for me to make an episode like this. So it really is really good when that sort of collaboration sort of comes together. So without further delay, let's begin. Okay, I'll start off with this blog that was written by a Dugan Chen. He was one of my customers that came into the store, and he basically talks about his experience of making AMVs. And so I'll just read it here for you. Anime music videos by me and Dugan. How I started. In 1997, I rented a fan sub of the Sailor Moon R movie from a store called Anime Jyanai again. So I found this when I was doing a vanity search for Anime Jyanai, And so he describes that he came into my store at 1997. So again, I've this is the second rendition of my store. So I've already opened the store for multiple years already. 97, of course, is now things like Windows 95 already came out. So the building of what we know as the internet has started. And the commercial companies have been releasing commercial animes for about 5 years now. So there's a reasonable number of video titles available now, available on VHS and that kind of stuff. So a lot of people are, I've built up a large inventory of commercial releases as well as fan subs that are made available to the members of the Vancouver Japanese Animation Club as well, right? The tape began, or was ended, I can't remember, with a long string of music videos putting anime footage to English songs. So again, he's referring to the AMVs that I've stuck into the end of the tape. So again, on a tape like Sailor Moon R, there's a bunch of stuff that's at the end of the tape which is like not used. So what I would do is I would put these anime music videos, AMVs, at the end of the tape. Obviously, he'd be wanting to watch Sailor Moon because that's what he'd borrowed the tape for. But maybe one of these other videos and the things would spark his interest, and obviously he alludes to the fact that he watched Pat Labor 2, the movie, and it's like, oh, okay, that seems pretty interesting. So this is the purpose of that, and I've mentioned it in my previous videos. So he recognized one of the songs as being from the Last Action Hero soundtrack, and the footage was from Pat Labor 2. So again, this gives him exposure to the Pat Labor 2 movie, something that he probably hasn't seen yet. I was seeing music videos made by amateurs with their own equipment. So the next day I went to Anime Jyanai and said, I want to do one of those. So again, this is his inspiration to make these anime music videos, which is kind of a for me, it was just being able to take some of my favorite songs and then mix in some of the anime clips and that kind of stuff, which I thought was pretty cool and that kind of stuff that kind of maybe worked with the song really well, and it just sort of makes those sort of mixed tapes, if you will, with music videos, right? So it's kind of a cool thing, right? He continues. Anime Jyanai at the time was a front for the Fansummer group Arctic Animation. So again, this is my second store. So I mean, I realized when I made my first store, which again you can go back and look at the videos of how I laid out my first store. I knew that in order to get anime to a larger market, I had to have some kind of office or store or something that people could come in and meet and talk about the anime, get interested in that anime, pick up anime. I can take orders for anime. I can fulfill orders for anime. Everything needs to be, in an office or space that that can, that's public accessible, right? You don't want to do everything, just from like your basement or your house, right? So I decided to open up a store, Anime Jyanai, to do that particular purpose, right? So the store proprietor was William Chow himself. Okay, he had back rooms where people went to Subtel master tapes. Extra VCRs worked around the clock to fill duplication requests. I made an appointment. Okay, so I'll stop there. So I'm going to sort of describe to you this new place, and this is the purpose of this particular video. So when I moved to from my old store, which you saw videos of, to this new store. This new store is owned in a complex owned by the city of Vancouver, and the previous tenant, for this place, was a radio station, like a publicly broadcasted radio station. And so when you walk into this place, the first room that you come into is a very nice sort of large room, which was used as the lobby. Okay, so obviously normally a secretary would be there. Obviously maybe like several different desks and that kind of stuff for maybe like promos, promotional people and whatnot, and maybe there'd be like records or something of that and whatnot, posters hanging on the wall, that type of thing would be normally there. Also in this big large large room is a second room with a big pane of glass in it. Okay, and obviously this room would be used for when the radio station needed to interview guests. Okay, so there's a big glass window that looks out to the lobbies, so that visitors and that kind of stuff can see into the glass and see how the interview would progress, and the guests of course would be easily able to sit into this room and do the interview with the particular DJ or whatever, right? And again, these rooms are nicely soundproofed and that kind of stuff, and really well insulated, really thick, hardcore, basically, very solid core doors, right? So it's really kind of heavy duty kind of stuff here. So that's what the main area was for. I also had a hallway, which led to 4 editing rooms. Okay, so when it was run as a radio station, okay, there were 4 rooms which were again soundproofed and everything like that. The sound insulated and whatnot. 2 of them had no windows in them, so I used those 2 rooms as my office, and I used the second one as my video editing room, which again we'll describe a little bit more later here. I had one that actually had a window in it. This is really akin to basically one where the sound engineer would be on one side with the entire massive panel and all the recording equipment and that kind of stuff would be on the one, okay, and then of course the other room on the other side of the window would be another room where it would be the studio room where I guess a band or a performing group or whatever would be there, maybe interviewers or whatever would be in that room with the microphones and that kind of stuff, and they could do the setup of their equipment, their musical instruments or whatever that they do on that side can be set up on there, and then of course with the glass, then the engineer could then give the instructions and guide the people as they're doing the recording. Okay, now those 2 rooms I used as the sort of the private lounge room, as it were. A lot of people used it to play RPG games and Dungeons and Dragons or whatever, that kind of thing in that particular room, and the other room on the other side of the glass I was using for storage, basically, store supplies and all the other secure storage and whatnot was stored in that room. Okay. So that's basically the layout of the thing. So again, it was primarily used as a radio station. So I'll continue on with his letter here. All right, and he continues, right, I made an appointment. All right, so then when you wrote that, I was going through my old files, and I actually found one of the scheduling sheets for the video room. So basically, when I got, running the store, during the store hours, I didn't spend very much time actually, doing subtitling and actually, doing the actual, video editing and that kind of stuff. I actually, spent more time running the store, right? But everyone else, wanted to get in and actually start subtitling their own animes and that kind of stuff, and basically have the same experience that I had, basically, which is, you have this sort of favorite anime that you like, and it's not getting translated, but you have the ability to get a translator to make the translation for you. So why not take that translation and apply it to this video that you like, and do the actual fan subbing itself. So I set up this sheet, which basically allows basically people to come in and use the equipment to do fan subs and that kind of stuff. Some of the people I've requisitioned to come in to do particular fan subs that I managed to get the translations for. I managed to get the lasers for. So they got those people coming in. I also have different members that are basically doing preparation and doing fan subbing for the monthly meetings that we do at Douglas College and that kind of stuff. So there's obviously new titles and new animes that come out, and we thought maybe this is a good feature to show the general public what the anime is about. So we worked on basically making subtitles for those type of things, so people would sign in and do that. So I can see by the sheet there. I have basically 2 sort of blocks, because I usually open the store around 12 noon and run it to around 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, right? So I basically divided the afternoon in half, so that there's sort of the first half and the second half, and then basically allow people to schedule themselves in, because some people have to come in from the suburbs or whatever and whatnot. So they can in advance sign up for different times to to come in and work on their particular fan sub, right? And so have this room available for that. So again, so in this case, the Dugan, what he would have done is he would have signed up for a block of time to make music videos. Okay, of course, the equipment was there so you could make a music video, but of course, the room was primarily designed for working on fan subs. Okay, so then this is the room that is set up. So now let's talk about the actual room and the actual setup here. Then when it came, William Chow introduced me to the equipment, two VCRs, a laser displayer, and a TV whose brightness was impossible to calibrate. Demonstrated the controls, the video dub, and auto and jog shuttle, and left me to my devices. Okay, so basically, it's a general purpose the editing room designed for fan subbing. So the basic equipment which is needed to basically to do the particular work needed. So basically two high-end VCRs, a laser display for using the source to get the recording done, and then all the connectivity for the Genlock and that kind of stuff to a computer, to do all the editing and that kind of stuff. That's the basic layout of the equipment there. So I basically showed them on basically how to do the two different dubbing features, audio dub, and how to use the round wheel to jog and get to the right position. Again, I have a video which shows me making an AMV using this jog the dial system and the laser system. You do check that out to see just how laborious the task is. Okay, because if you're doing this and all is for example iMovie or Adobe Premiere, you have no concept of how hard it is to accurately chop and divide the video where you want it, or to try to get that right scene, because you just don't have the same tools you do digitally in order to do this. So again, if you really want to see how intense the work is, do check out that video. He continues. Very few editors can claim that to have worked in worse conditions than I did here. Because the equipment was in the back room of a store, I could not start before it opened. Again, because as you see it from the schedule, I have very specific blocks open when the store is open. So basically from noon to 7. Tends to be at noon, and inevitably between 12:30 and 1 p.m. Had to be out by closing time at 7. So again, exactly what the schedule has listed there. So again, the disadvantage, of course, if you had it at home, you can sit there and edit all night if you wanted to. And as I said, some things, an AMV shouldn't take that long, but again, depending on how accurate you wanted to make it, could take you several hours to maybe days to actually get it edited the way you want. The editing room was itself windowless and dimly lit. Of course, it's a recording studio, right? So all the soundproofing prevented you from basically having windows that face the outside. Again, if you think of a radio station, you hardly ever have a window that faces directly outside. And of course, it's dimly lit, because it's again designed to be a recording studio, so it only has the one or two sort of deck lighting at the top. Probably usually for night programming, I think that room was, because it was one of the smaller rooms. The equipment was knee-high, and the room was the size of a closet that you could either sit or stand comfortably. You had to squat or kneel, and it wasn't even physically safe. Heavy objects weighing as much as VCRs could tumble off the top shelves and nearly miss your head. Okay, I think he kind of over-exaggerated that a little bit, but it is true. So the room probably was the smallest room. Okay, probably for in radio situation would have been the night broadcasting room. Okay, so didn't need very much, just basically enough to run the show by automatically. The room by itself, it probably it would have just enough room for you to basically, if you were going to use it as a studio, just enough room for you to probably have a small band, set their equipment up and set it up for recording, to basically record yourself. So if you've ever been to the Museum of Music or whatever in Seattle. They have those small little recording rooms in the upper floor that you can, so-called jam, if you will. It's similar, very similar. So it's probably enough for a drummer in his set, probably a guitarist or two, and the main singer. And that's all. You basically have enough room for the drummer to sit, and the two guards, the guitarist, and and the singer to basically just stand in place and do their performance and do their song or whatever, right? No David Lee Roth spinning flying kicks or anything like that. Okay, so just basically very motionless performance. Now, of course, that's with the room empty, right? So in this sort of situation, a computer desk was already set up in this room, basically having the space in the room, right? And then, of course, beside the computer desk would be a traditional audio rack. Okay. Now, when we think modernly, we think of an entertainment system as being laid out flat, which basically allows you to put your flat screen TV on top of it and that kind of stuff. Okay, so this is more lengthwise rather than height-wise. Okay, but this is again back in the 90s. Okay, where the popular thing was audio racks, right? Because most of the equipment that you would have would be, your tape deck for playing audio cassettes, your CD player for playing CDs and that kind of stuff. Obviously, you'd have like an amp, not necessarily an like a surround sound or digital Dolby surround sound or anything like that, designed for TV or movies kind of thing. Just a regular amp to take your sound off of your audio equipment and play it out. Maybe like an equalizer or something to help you adjust your sound, and usually somewhere on the top of the audio rack you'd probably have a space for like a turntable so you can play your records or something like that. And that was basically the design of these racks. So obviously in my setup here I would have had all the VCRs and all the editing, the color corrector, and maybe even the computer that holds the time-based corrector all in this rack. Okay. So if you used a chair to sit in front of it, you'd probably be sitting too high, right? So obviously, when you do subtitling, you don't need to sit in front of the VCRs, right? You are designed to sit in front of a computer and do the editing on the computer. You might reach over and press record or press play on the VCR and whatnot. So those would be a reach over and touch sort of thing. But of course, obviously Dugan in this case is going to be exclusively sitting in front of the VCRs and that stuff. So literally, you'd have to use a small stool or essentially kneel in front of this rack to do all of editing. Again, if the room was designed for editing, obviously these VCRs would be put on a desk so that you can operate it at sitting height and whatnot. But of course, it's not. This is designed for subtitling, so everything's on a rack. So it's the same way that I had it set at home, where basically everything was set up in a rack system, and all the editing was done essentially sitting on the floor, or basically or sitting on a small stool and doing the editing at near ground level. And that's the usual how we did things for that, because again, the AMVs were just sort of one of these things that we sort of just did on the fly, as it were. Kind of on impromptu, and just sort of secondary to the actual real progress, which is actually making fan subs. Now, if I remember right, I probably had shelves installed, probably above the desk or whatever, above and out of the way, to hold things. Now, I don't think I would have put any inventory in that kind of stuff, because I said I had a whole other room, which I actually held store inventory. So it's probably just storage of things like the empty boxes with VCRs and whatnot, maybe some spare speakers or something like that, or whatnot. I would have probably stored on shelves and racking. That was probably above the editing desk and above and out of the way. Just sort of that kind of stuff. I probably would have had there. Not any particular hazards, because I don't think you'd be doing any, as a David Lee Roth kicks or anything like that. But you definitely. if you're going to be close to the ground, then that probably wouldn't have been an issue. Or sitting there editing on the computer desk, that again wouldn't have been an issue. Yet Artec provided the equipment and in many cases the source footage that I could not afford. So again, these VCRs were very expensive. I mean, even at that time they were, SVHS decks with flying race heads are easily in the thousands of dollars. Again, when you're only making about $600 a paycheck, like a 2-week paycheck, then that's like a month worth of income right there, just to buy one of these VCRs. You need 2 of them, right? And of course, Laserdisc player, and even sometimes the actual source footage would be the actual laser discs, right? We had available. He writes, continues to write, I took full advantage of the opportunity by winding the tape back 5 seconds and counting them off. I could make cuts that were precise to the frame. And again, with these editing VCRs and with the way that these VCRs started up and that kind of stuff, you could get it down to a cycle, and you could get it to know when they actually start recording and how to back the video up. Again, watch that video that I made about editing AMVs, and you'll get a really clear idea of how difficult some of that is. He comments that I always had 1 good minute of completed work to show for every 1 hour I spent editing. Okay, so that gives you an idea that you could spend like an hour, maybe even 2, right? Because at the beginning he probably was getting started and getting used to the system. But yeah, you would think that after an hour to 2 hours of editing, you've only actually completed a minute of your actual finished product, right? And so you think most songs are 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes long, right? It will easily take you, 3, 4, 5 plus hours, right? Depending on how precise the edit is, and whether or not you get stuck on a particular frame or whatnot. But yeah, you could easily get stuck, a whole day editing just one music video, right? But that's what it took, right, to make these things at this time. And then he continues on making other music videos. Now, so I remember, he came in, a few times making different videos, that kind of stuff. I know he made one for Nausicaa Valley of the Wind. I do believe he made one for Silent Mobius, I think, or a few other different animes that he was really interested in. He was able to come in and make some edits and that kind of stuff. And I'm glad that he, got inspired and made use of some of the equipment, and actually got and basically creatively made some of these AMVs that he enjoyed doing. Again, I was really happy that I was able to help the anime community with fan subs and that kind of stuff, and Dugan managed to find an outlet for his creative ability to make AMVs and help spread the word of anime through the use of AMVs. And I'm glad he was able to make use of some of the equipment and the time that we had available to help him with that quest. So that was really good. All right, so I hope that really helps you, give you an idea of what my second store looked like. So definitely, the second store had a lot of good, nice advantages that my first store didn't have. It was bigger. It was in a nicer, sort of more professional sort of setting. It was definitely a nicer setup, in terms of air conditioning, heating, and just the layout was nice, a nicer building. Nice decor and that kind of stuff for that. In terms of functionality, it was very nice. But eventually I had to move on to a third location. Just to basically make it so that I didn't have to pay the city of Vancouver the monthly rent check. Instead, I went out and bought my own place, so that that saves me on paying rent. And of course, I had to pay property taxes. But still, it was definitely a lot cheaper to operate in that respect. Okay, but I will get into more episodes where we get into the second and the third store, and talk about some of the stories and some of the wackiness that sort of occurs during those. Okay, so you want to make sure you're subscribed, and you'll get to those episodes in the future. All right. So until next time, I will see you again.